gotta leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on Ciroc and I'm sipping on Octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Reviews not falling for the FOMO. Listen in the coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
boy.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. Had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain. GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below, then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark. We ask every day, but we really would love it today if you help us out. We've got not one, not two, maybe 3, maybe 4 special guests joining us. Maybe 5, actually. No kidding. It is a day. It was like an Eminem type morning pre-show, Steve. I had to mute the mic and get amped up for this one. Going to be a big show and would appreciate all the help with warming up the algo. Again, the space is pinned up top as well as the video stream on X. If not, that'll be up there in a second. And we've got the chat fired up over on Abstract. The best GMers GM us over at all 3 spots. But hit us up at least one of those and give this Spaces link up top some special love. We greatly appreciate it. As always, I'm Cap, my co-host Steve. Never any financial advice in the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky. Meme coins are exceptionally risky and go to zero to moments notice. Please don't input any money and you can't afford to lose. And know that Steve and I likely hold tokens we talk about from time to time here on the show, including several tokens throughout the Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem, which we'll be talking about likely before the 9 o'clock hour, but most certainly from that 9 to 10 o'clock slot. Some breaking news today, Steve. We got some big announcements. I got a glimpse yesterday. I was sworn to secrecy, so wink, wink. Steve has no idea what I was told, but excited to share it all with you here in about an hour. But now that's out of the way, Steve, I have a confession. We got this intro thanks to Payne, this fancy, video intro now warms things up, which is great. It is certainly an enhancement. We get it. Actually, I mentioned yesterday, we're getting more compliments on the production quality, probably since we went live with video than we have in the show's entirety. All that being said, I don't know, I'm going to time it tomorrow, or well, not tomorrow. I'll time it Monday. the amount of time from when the video intro ends, when it says, welcome to the future, till the screen pops up, it might be the longest 7 seconds of my entire life. Like, it seems like it's about 7 minutes of a wait for me to jump in. You? Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
No, that's me. That's on me. That's on me. That's on me. Oh my God. Cap this morning, he just gave the gotta be kidding me. We've been having some tech issues lately.
Exasperated.
Yeah. Exasperated. Use it correctly. Me being on mute just exacerbated the frustration that you had this morning, and you are exasperated. But
I didn't think we were going to go back to that bit that quickly, but here we are. One day later.
Steve teaches Cap English. Almost matched hoodies this morning, by the way. I consciously wore the hoodie you wore yesterday for 2 days in a row so that we wouldn't match today, because I love that one. That hoodie, though, I will tell you, there is a 100% chance I spill coffee on that hoodie every time I wear it. So I have a second one, which is completely clean. But I have one that is slowly becoming. The nice part about it is
I spilled shit on this morning. It must have just been water. It was like when I was brushing my teeth. I'm like, fuck, thank goodness it's like below the fold. Like, oh, I'm good. Like, no one can see that I'm a mess down here. But it was just water. I was gonna flex my coffee stains too, but no coffee, just water.
No, that shit's in now, man. My brother, who is like a fashionable Brooklyn, New York guy, he like him and I were doing something. He's like, check out this hoodie. He got it at a thrift shop. It is a St. John's hoodie that is just plastered in like paint and crap and whatever that he got at a thrift shop that's a sturdy. And he's like, yeah, this is a style. I'm like, wonderful, because I spill shit myself all the time. So it's perfect for me. GM to all the chatters out there, give us a like and a retweet. Like Cap said, special day this morning. Gonna have a lot of special guests, including Mr. Garga himself, the co-founder and CEO of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. GM to the chat, already bumping this morning. Teacher Katie, Riz Brian, B Epic, Mesh, Green Edge. Mesh actually ditching Modern Market with Serpent over there. We love Serpent to come here on time this morning. We love that because we know he's like us, a Modern Market enjoyer. Von Fronten across multiple chats. Thomas, Boris, we got RDL in the YouTube chat. We got Von Fronten in multiple chats. We got Hizzy in multiple chats. We got RDL, again, multiple chats, multiple places, X and YouTube. Esh, Bordo Saka, loving the laughs this morning. Von Fronten, like you said, rocking the same hoodie. Over in the X chat, again, like, retweet, comment, bookmark the room, because you don't check your bookmark anyway. Go through those. Vicky, Dobbins, Odeka, Captain Deadpants with that Bit Boy in the morning. Tino, always good to see you out there. Riz Brian, Beanie, McFly, Hizzy across multiple chats. Mel does not mess around in the chat. She's got thoughts this morning. Dwayne with some cool edits. OC. I'm loving every 1 in a million. All of our good friends out there. Tebow, bright and early for him. Dort, General Wags, Booching, all the friends. Screenwriter Dave Kapow. Sorry if I missed anybody. Alpha Minor, by the way. Appreciate you out there as well, always. But Cap, yeah.
I'm so glad you were muted, because I almost let off like the most insane explicited laced tirade here on the maybe ever on the show.
You say explicit instead of expletive. I like this. We're doing this again this morning, huh?
Yep. I almost like slammed the MacBook shut. I was this close just to slamming the thing shut and starting it over, but thank goodness it was a user error. But in all seriousness, as Steve mentioned, we had once again some technical challenges, and it's keeping us on our toes. It's keeping us young and spry, and maybe that's why we will keep streaming video, Steve, just so it keeps us in tune with the youngins.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say to you, I was like when we were having this conversation, I was gonna say to you, like, what amount of money out of the Coffee with Captain Treasury do we need to spend? Because here's the problems we have right now. I have no idea to do what you do. There is no redundancy. If you
so I did get sorry to cut you off. I got to go to my DMs because I had a few people actually reach out and give us advice on the audio video stuff. Greatly appreciate it. Apologies, I'm slipping names and not giving proper credit, but we should connect on this because I think there's a couple of things that could, like, they explained like a power amp. You don't even need a full Rodecaster, but like a power amp or a preamp, they said, could fix the audio where it's pulling up the same audio whether you're looking at your mic or not.
Interesting, because like for me, like I just need to figure out like how to get the same setup as you, because I realized with no redundancy, like, again, the problem is, like, I don't necessarily need the Rodecaster as long as we're together.
We were just audio only, and the Steve's was all the equipment we needed. But We've moved into a new world now.
But even the worlds where you're like, hey, like we should do a space together. Like we should, or like you're traveling. Do you mind doing setting up the space today, whatever? Like I should have redundancy. By the way, Teacher Katie, appreciate the tip over there. Boris, appreciate the tip over on Abstract. We love the people on Abstract Chain with the Pingu. Rare Ed coming in hot. It is a hot morning, Cap. We have a lot to discuss too, so we'll get into it in a second here. But yeah, man, I feel like I needed and also I was stalling because I have about 16 Chrome windows with 47 million tabs open, and I was trying to find my Coffee with Captain Daily tab with my what to talk about today, the more you know, all that good stuff. But I probably
actually sacrificed all my tabs. I think I had 87 open this morning. I was like, pretty important show. Should probably just clear out the cache and make sure that we don't have any of those tech issues as we stream. So yeah, I sacrificed every open Chrome tab I had.
You accidentally click on a YouTube tab that like had rebooted and it starts playing like Jocko Willink in it while Garga's talking.
My apologies in advance for I'm sure there was probably 17 open DMs that I'm now not going to reply to, so you'll just have to ping me again. But that's how I follow up with something I'm supposed to. Although as I was doing this, I went on tilt as I realized yesterday was the first day I missed my ethos streak in a while. I don't know how the hell I missed it. I usually do it before the show, but yeah, I broke my ethos streak. So pretty bummed about that.
You got to keep that going, and you got to start vouching, man. Like you got to do the vouch. The vouch, it takes 2 seconds, and like I'm telling you, I just need
to do a little bit of etho, right? It's literally on that. It's one of those things on the list. I keep adding to the top of my list, Steve. I need to add to the bottom of it so I get to the vouching.
Yeah, I also say I got a bone to pick with our guy Jack GK. Sent him my ethos invite. He has not yet logged in. It's like 3 days in the making. It's probably bad on my ethos profile. Yeah. But burned an invite, so I'm gonna give him a hard time to get back on there. But yeah, no, it's funny. I like as far as like DMs go, I realized I missed a DM from our guy Pio like midweek, so I responded to that finally this morning. I got a lot of work to do.
Pio and I were chatting. I don't know how much more old man you can get than chatting cholesterol in the DMs. Like that's Pio and I's conversation is chatting cholesterol and egg intake. That's our DM conversation right now.
Yeah, him and Clemente got me. Look, we'll jump into it just because I know we got a busy day. But him and Clemente got me inspired. I basically told Clemente, please don't stop posting health stuff because we talk about it in the morning. You're a healthier person than me. I am trying to be better about it and find the proper balance. But like seeing them post about it.
Did I ever shared yet? I'm back on my full. I know we've talked about it in the past, but it's a while ago. I'm back on my full.
Your butter coffee. Yeah.
Butter coffee. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
I'm deep into it. But this is the hardest I've ever went. Like I'm doing full blown, like I upped all the ingredients. So it's like organic ginger, organic turmeric. It's the real deal. It's fully loaded butter coffee with the butter, the MCT oil. I do honey, cinnamon, ginger, and turmeric is the special ingredients.
Yeah, for sure. I see the chat. They're asking about ethos invites. Look, if I get multiple ethos invites, I have no problem sharing the love. I got one. I hit Jack up with it, so I'm just going to make sure, I hadn't heard from him in a while. I'm like, hey, man, you want to jump on here? So when I get more, I have a few people who are asking about it. I'm hoping I get a handful. I'm going to keep trying to grind it on
I've got one, Steve. We don't do this often, but since we do have a few special guests today, let's do let's give away an ethos, but let's do it for the cheesy like, retweet, leave a comment. Can we do that? I know it's rare that we ask that, but I've got an ethos invite if anyone wants it. Drop the best comment in the chat will get it, but you also have to like and repost the space.
Yeah, and Mesh it is invite only. So yeah, if you're on the space specifically, so we love having multiple people. We want you to go over to Abstract. We want you to be out on YouTube, all the good places. Like, retweet, comment on the space, and Cap will find someone who gives a good comment to give an ethos invite to.
Let me just make sure I still have it. They didn't take it away after I broke my streak yesterday. Yes, I still have the invite, so I'm good.
Bordo Saka Health Hacker as well says, Cap, you got a little black pepper to activate the turmeric.
A black what?
Black pepper to activate the turmeric.
Yes, I also put a little black pepper in there.
All right. Well, Cap, we got a busy day. We got a daily market update to get to at some point. We got a more to get to at some point. Let's dive right into it. It is 8:15. We got to get this thing going. We got other people coming on, multiple people potentially coming on today. It's a big day across the board. Guard coming on to announce redacted. Have some other. I
don't even know, like multiple announcements. I genuinely don't even think I shared the second announcement with you.
You're like, I pretended not to share the first. But yeah, excited to hear everything that's going there. But let's start off. Okay, we got. I have 3 main buckets on my categories today of things I want to discuss. I'm curious what's on your list. So, and by the way, a lot of times, Cap and I, people talk about show up with our lists because that way you get our organic raw reactions, and sometimes those aren't great. But we don't want to plan things out because we want to be real. So I have the Taproot Wizards distro today. I want to get your take on that. Doodle's DreamNet launching yesterday. Wrapping my head around that. Something cool, whether you participate or not. I think they did something cool there. Safe Foundation is looking to buy 23andMe and potentially put data on chain privatized to save everybody's data. And it's a concept that would move things drastically forward, I think. I want to start Taproot Wizards because I want to get your take on this because I know we've talked a little bit about Taproot Wizards. We had Udi on the show last week. We've had a flurry, a cavalcade of sorts of guests lately that are very, very good. And Udi was on the show last week. Talked about Taproot Wizards yesterday. You guessed at a 0.369 settling price. I guessed 0.33. We both Price is Right. We went over. We hit the bump ba-dum because it was 0.31. So that probably sounded pretty close though. Pretty close though. 0.31.
Price is Right impersonation and pretty close on your 0.3 guess.
I do that sometimes when people like make a comment in person.
Not even kidding, Steve. We need to find out. Like, okay, so I'm gonna completely derail your list. One, we're not gonna talk about it, but we have another sponsored segment coming next week, Tuesday, I believe, penciled in, not 100% confirmed, but I believe we're gonna start it on Tuesday. Really, actually geeked about this segment. I think everyone here will love it. And there's prizes for the audience. We have to find the next time we do one of these, we have to find a way to incorporate Plinko into a sponsored segment.
Oh yeah, I love the Plinko, but yeah,
or the wait, Plinko is the yodeler, right? Am I thinking right?
No, that's not even remotely close. We're gonna go Price is Right segments another day. Yodeler goes up based on the price you have, and if you're off, it goes off the edge. Apparently, Cap is such a health regimen. He wasn't homesick enough to watch Price is Right. Apparently, as a kid,
it's been years. I watched it, but I haven't. I know it's still going, and no offense to your Clevelander. By the way, I know we're way out of the cold open. We don't have time to talk baseball this morning, but Manzardo, the Guardians look good. Steve Manzardo. I did not get him on that big best ball I ended the show with yesterday, but I did get him in some of the $10 dinger entries, and feeling pretty good about that one.
We love the guards.
And maybe the greatest regular season basketball finish of all time last night.
Never seen anything like it in my life in the NBA. I don't think.
It was Reggie Miller.
Since Reggie Miller. That's what I was going to say. Since Reggie Miller.
This will go down as like when people talk about greatest finishes, it's Reggie Miller and then this one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a regular season game that won't matter, and the Bulls are going to be like a play-in team. But either way, exciting finish for sure. Exciting NCAA stuff. But unlike a lot of Fridays where we go back and forth, I want to get your take on the Taproot Wizards. We settled at 0.31 Bitcoin. We weren't sure where you were going to settle. We were thinking it could be an instant sellout. It could settle down here. We just didn't know where we were going to net out. Settled in at 0.31. So I got to ask you your sort of take on this. We settled at 0.31. So we did the math. First of all, I'll pin it to the top just because I thought it was an interesting thing. I was feeling a little froggy yesterday, so I asked both ChatGPT and Grok, two separate LLMs. What do you think the final the floor price will be of the Taproot Wizards? I pinned it at the top of the space. We have Grok saying between 0.25 and 0.35 Bitcoin. That was Grok's guess. We have ChatGPT saying between 0.28 and 0.32, little tighter range, but they're both thinking it's going to settle around that final resting price on the Dutch auction. ChatGPT a little bit more bullish, saying it could spike higher if there's a frenzy, but I think 0.3 is a rational short-term floor before things stabilize. Wouldn't be shocked if it pushes to 0.4. We had Phonics in the war room saying, based on the hype, he thought 0.75.
Wow.
My feeling is I do feel a little bit like the hype has died down. I don't know why. There was an auction. It was exciting. People are going to be posting about him. What is your thinking on where this, because like, okay, so just so people know, for people just reference to no price references. Number one, the pre-sale was 0.2. So that's for a lot of people who completed those missions, filling themselves as wizards, did that. The final resting price of the Dutch auction was 0.31. If you had two entangled cats, the implied value there was like 1.2 each. So we'll call that 0.25, and they were able to mint for 0.1. So it's like a 0.34, 0.35 price. So the implied prices are, if you entangle cats, about 0.34. If you 0.34 to 0.4. If you bought on the sale, it's 0.2, and the resting price is 0.31. So given all that, the AI models are thinking between 0.28 and 0.32 is the tightest range ChatGPT gave. I feel like it's higher is what I expect. When I said 0.5, people called it FUD. I said like half a Bitcoin, and people were like, "That's FUD. It's gonna be higher based on the hype." What are you thinking?
So we'll get into the daily market update here in a bit. Quantum Cats they're up 17% on the day. I think that's meaningful.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Like,
Mhm.
like they were used as a mint property for something. They went down, and now they're going up.
Well, I mean, I think part of it's just price discovery, right? People didn't know what would happen, and I think the fact that they've come up a little bit, I think that bodes well for the Taproot Wizards settling floor price. Here's what I don't know. Now, we know the traits are high end, like as far as like very well done. They've got arguably the best. I mean, we're biased, but maybe the best trait, or it's a bad word. The best.
Oh, I like traitor. No, that sounds like traitor, right? Yeah. Trait creator.
Yeah, the best. I don't know. Master of
the best damn outer lumen in the world.
Yeah, outer is a secret weapon when it comes to traits. So we know those will be well done. Rarity will be good. I'm expecting some of the rares to go really high. Like if you would have asked me a month or two ago, I would have guessed a 1 Bitcoin floor price for the Wizards. I think right now this isn't any it's not indicative of what they've done, rather just the market as a whole. Things have cooled off a little bit. So I'm expecting, I don't know. I'm expecting there to be a little bit of a sell-off. I mean, the normal thing play out. Like post reveal, we see a little bit of dump, floors dump a little bit. I think after then we see the community trade around and get the ones they want, right? There's going to be some of that taking place. I think during that time period, we'll see some really big rare sales. Like we'll see rares go for multiple Bitcoin, I think. And when that starts popping off, then I think we see a run on the floor price. So I think the floor price will dip, but I think within the first 24 hours, I think it starts to run. And I would say 24 hours after reveal, I'm going to guess the same. I'm just going to go right back to the same number. 0.369 is going to be my guess.
Yeah, it's crazy though to think about like that. And by the way, big win regardless. If somebody has like pretty much anybody minting wins at that point. But I do wonder, like for the entangled cats, that would be not that big of a win. For the people who did the Dutch auction, it'll be a little win.
So if you call the current floor at 0.24, well, because they paid, so they had 2 cats plus 0.1. Was that the price?
Yes.
So 2 cats 0.24 plus 0.3. That'd basically be even. So
that's what I'm saying. But that's assuming they were able to get a dead and alive cat off the floor. Like, well, based on what they looked at entangled, you're probably looking at like 0.4.
It's not even though. It's even on what they paid, but they still have their cats. They didn't have to burn their cats. So they're actually up 0.24. Pretty big win. I mean, doesn't sound like much, but even with Bitcoin being down, you're still talking like what, 21 grand? I mean, a $20,000 win is pretty freaking big. If that was in price in ETH, we would be doing backflips over it.
Yeah, I guess like, and again, we got Rare in the chat saying I say higher, pushing 1 Bitcoin at some point. Last week, if you had asked me, I would have said these things are going to be 0.75, 1 Bitcoin could be. Then I was like, maybe half a Bitcoin. Now I don't know. Like ChatGPT and Grok got me twisted, man. They got me worried about where this thing is going to go. So I don't know, man. Like I agree. I think we're going to see some big Rare sales. The question is, do those big Rare sales have a cascading effect? Because sometimes you see that, and then people are like,
"Well, not to." If it was a 10,000 collection, it wouldn't be as extreme. But because the collection's so small, there's going to be one. Like if it's just everything's equal across the board, there'll be 1/5 of the rares that are in other collections. So the rarest, like I saw, it was like a Pope jacket with a Bible in its hand or something, and there was like one of those in the entire collection of those combination of traits. Like I think there's going to be some of those that, okay, this is a trait I want, and it's not like they're going to have hundreds of them to choose from. There might be 12. And so I do believe there. I think the whole meme of, oh, the Bitcoin whales, ancient Bitcoin whales are going to wake up. I think that's a farce. I think it's a meme. I don't think it actually happens. There's still enough liquidity in the ecosystem. There's enough liquidity just in the Taproot Wizards community to make this thing run, to drive some of those high-end sales of rares. And I do think when that happens, I think it'll bring back that attention and excitement that you said you kind of felt was waning since auction.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to is like, will the rares cook? And by that cook by proxy, will that make everybody say, okay, I want to get one of these because these things have a lot of potential when you see those rares selling? That's the thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on today. Because to me, like, that's the interesting story. Like, obviously, we're going to have some news that we're going to talk about today when Garga hops on the show. It's going to be interesting to watch. But I think, I have no feel on this floor, and I don't know why. Like, I start thinking to myself, like, is there a secondary buyer for this thing? Because if they'd sold out at 0.42, I would be like, send these things to the moon. 0.31 at a settle price is like, okay, like that feels reasonable and normal, but like it doesn't feel like a cooker based on that. But I don't know. We'll have to end up seeing that. But let's do this. We're gonna talk a little bit of ancient Bitcoin. Well, wife threw away my old PC though. Landfill. I think you meant whale, but yeah, Payne. We'll see. Also, Payne, you have to let me know about my mic today. I actually DM'd you about it, but other things. We're trying to figure out why Caps audio works and why mine moves around. I literally clicked a box that I think might have fixed it this morning. Yeah, whale. There you go. Payne is an ancient Bitcoin whale. I'm just a current food whale, and I need to change that, which is why I've been following Pio and Clemente.
Steve, I know we have hands and it's a couple of regulars here. Do we want to? I know we're tight for time this morning, gentlemen, so we may have to put you on ice and come back to it if we can.
I'm gonna and then maybe we can quick hands and keep it moving on everything because we got a lot going on today.
I kind of want to get not only more, but we should go ahead and knock out daily market update as well to have both of those seeing where the day takes us.
Get them in the books. All right. Well, right now I'm gonna do more brought to you by our friends at ENS.
The more you know. Brought to you by ENS.
It's time for the more you know, brought to you by ENS. And look, Cap is saying that he might see some Taproot Wizards sell for multiple Bitcoin. He says multiple Bitcoin on those rares could be pretty big. So let's talk about some big numbers in Bitcoin ordinals. The highest ordinal sale to date I could find was a OMB, Ordinal Maxi Biz, which sold for 27.2 Bitcoin. Imagine that. Over $1.5 million at the time. It wasn't just rare. It was the first ever ordinal inscribed on a Satoshi mined in Bitcoin's first halving blocks. A pure historical flex by whoever decided to buy that. Right behind that, Node Monks, the first 10K PFP collection fully inscribed in Bitcoin. Obviously, OCM went over there pretty early, but full 10K PFP inscribed on Bitcoin have seen individual sales top 17 Bitcoin, with the floor price climbing at one point above 0.6 Bitcoin. That's a serious traction for a project that didn't launch with a VC backing or a mint. And don't forget Bitcoin Shrooms, which lean into pixel art and Bitcoin lore. One sold for over 4 Bitcoin, highlighting collectors valuing those early culturally relevant art that was on Bitcoin as much as rarity. Ordinals are no longer just an experiment. They're full on-chain asset class, historical history, scarcity, and provenance, all secured on-chain forever. Let's see what happens today. Maybe we top that 27 Bitcoin sale. I doubt it, but we could see what happens there with Taproot Wizards today. And that was the More You Know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than you know, not just anchoring your name across Web3, but anchoring it across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, ease of use. Go to ens.domains to learn more and secure your ENS domain. But yeah, Cap, I definitely think the the sales is like I am excited. This is what is exciting to me about Web3. I'm going to watch today to see these big sales and the timelines. I'm excited to see what happens. So I don't know. I'm pretty pumped to see the net out of the Taproot Wizards. You think big multiple Bitcoin sales? I think it's certainly possible. I just don't know what's going to happen with the floor, and sentiment is certainly going to follow.
Yeah, and multiple might be. I mean, that might be a stretch, but I would be shocked if we don't see at least a few rares go for more than one Bitcoin.
Yeah, B Epic says, what is a better chance? 2x in the short term, Wizards or Pudgy? Other? And I don't know, actually. I think Wizards have a better chance at a 2x in the short term. I think Pudgy, that's not a knock on Pudgy, established brand.
Yeah, it's just much harder to 2x when you're it's like saying what has the better chance to 2x, Bitcoin or fill in the blank, a new meme that just launched. Like very different things, I think, and maybe that's also extreme, but there's a lot more unknown with Taproot Wizards in terms of what might be on the come than these established brands who have already checked off some of those liquidity events, if you will.
Yeah. And I think that's totally fair. And also, like, I do want to and this will probably lead us well into the market update. I'll be curious to see. Thank you, Carlito GM. Appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. The other part that's interesting is like it being on Bitcoin is a factor to me because Bitcoin people don't like selling their Bitcoin. Like that's the thing. It's like you're asking there was a joke that someone said because OCM was talking to Michael Saylor about potential Bitcoin stuff and buying potential ordinals like because they know him and I saw a comment was like trying to get Michael Saylor to sell Bitcoin to buy ordinals, which by the way, I don't see why he wouldn't because it's like peanuts to him. But at the same time, like, that is an interesting thing. Like thinking about like the, Bitcoin people buying actual, ordinals with Bitcoin. And so that's like the interesting part is like ETH. The reason why I get confident in ETH liquidity and floor prices there more so is that people look at ETH as it's meant to be spent. People look at ordinals and it is, hey, Bitcoin's meant to stack. I was talking to someone about that this morning. I'm not going to say who, but I was talking to someone about like, hey, like are you going to sell your Taproot Wizard? Are you going to keep your Taproot Wizard? Because they're very much in that camp of like buy stack Bitcoin. So I think that like that sort of mentality is something that's going to potentially hold something like this back. But who knows? You never know. We'll see. Another thing worth bringing up before we daily market update and get through that is like does Doodles dream that? Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I fully know that Cap is not interested in this because it is not like world building, like not an offensive thing. I'm just going to predict your thoughts on this, that you just don't have time to go build fantasy worlds.
I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm not interested in I don't know how active I will be in an ecosystem like this. So you nailed that, but I'm interested to see where they're going. And I appreciate them doing something different at Pure, something novel, incorporating their token. And I'm all for that. It doesn't have to be what I want. Build something that people want. Build something that is changing things. It's like they've talked about this decentralized media company and everything they're building for so long. This is exciting in the sense that it's novel
massive pivot to some degree.
Well, it's novel enough that it's kind of confusing. And I think that's not a bad thing. Like it's not everything in this space should be, oh, I get it right away. Like that part of, I think what's fun is exploring new stuff and do people use it? I don't know. Like I have a lot of questions. I'm intrigued more so than interested in terms of being active myself from what I can understand so far. And I'll be candid. I didn't read the whole white paper. I dropped it in ChatGPT and had it summarized for me.
Yeah, well, by the way, that is the white paper alpha as you're figuring things out. But, basically, for people who didn't read the Doodles news, I see Diablito, they dropped the idea of this DreamNet, which is it kind of complex because, and look, the thing that I love about the Doodles team is it is a group of nerds in the best way possible. Like, as a nerd myself, I appreciate the nerds. They basically, like, I worked with the Doodles product team at one point in a co-working space in Columbus, Ohio. They were when I was doing some consulting with them, and I'll never forget, like, they left early that day, I believe, because it was Dungeons and Dragons night for the team and they were going to go out and play it. So these guys are in it to win it. They love world building and creating. Smart group of people. And it sounds like they're going to have the dude token powering this sort of like decentralized world, which, look, here's why. I'll tell you why I like it. I'll tell you my confusion. Token looks like it's going to be released on Sol unless they change something. Not sure how I feel about that, given the fact that they're built on Base and you're looking for an interoperability thing.
I hope they change it. Like, if you're listening, I'm gonna pass along this feedback to the team. Like, you can still launch on Sol, just don't make Sol your home. Launch on Base, launch on ETH, do an omni-chain launch. Like any of that's better than just. I don't know, man. I think the culture on Solana has changed a lot since they decided to make this move back in like December, allegedly.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think like I was in a doodle space a while back, surprisingly, Degen. Yeah, like they know their shit, like good group. But Von Frunten building IP, tying token value to the level of effort and creativity you put in, having fun with AI. This is the kind of stuff we wanted Web3 to be back in 2021. That's why I love it. I love that they are using the token in a way that makes sense, where like you have to use it to buy, create, keep your AI live, be more creative. You will be rewarded accordingly. Again, the interoperability from like the Sol token, that's a good question for them into Base. I don't know where they're building it, but fact of the matter is they're trying to give you a reason to use a token. And one of my biggest beefs with token generation events is that you have a token generation event and you give people no reason to buy the token outside of speculation. That's broken. Like you need to release a product with demand, not just a liquidity event. And the Doodles team is doing that. And so for my money, that makes me incredibly happy to participate in this thing. So that is my take on that in general. Like, I just think like the idea that they're giving us an actual reason to buy a token, a reason to use a token, I think is a strong play. So good for them on that.
I feel a lot better about Dude than I did on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like, and I'll play around, and the idea of having, I just don't know. Like I just haven't, it hasn't clicked for me, but I appreciate the effort and everything you just said, double tapping that there's going to be utility for this token day one. And I think that's really important.
And I think what we'll do is we'll see as time goes on what that looks like more, right? Like, I think we just need to give it some time and talk to the team, and we'll try to get them on the show and have a real good discussion about it. Because I think that, to me, is exactly what we're sort of, missing here, is just the actual details from the team where they can fill in the blanks for us. Because to me, I'm excited. Again, they're doing something different. They're trying to take a big swing. Like, we talked about like Garga and like, a persistent metaverse being live. We're going to talk to him today by June. Like, that is what we should be doing. We should be taking those big swings to try to actually do things and not just sort of playing it safe. I like that. I like that they're doing something different. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they come out with. I'm personally looking forward to trying to play around in the world building stuff. And one of the things I said to Von Frunten yesterday, which I know we agreed with, is like, part of the problem is like, at least for me, I feel like we got away from this idea. Like when I was in, middle school, it's like in high school, I didn't code zones in multi-user dimensions, text-based Dungeons and Dragons, because I was like, oh, you know what? I want to build these things because I'm getting paid for it. I just want to build them. And I want to get back to the point where it's like I'm doing something and there are rewards along the way. Like you talked about your abstract strategy, you're getting rewarded for doing something you're going to do anyway. So I wanted to see something fun, something people want to participate in. They are building something with a niche nerd audience intentionally. I'm excited for it. So I think good stuff overall. I'm excited to see what they do with it. But that said, Cap, let's do this. Let's do the daily market update because I'm curious what happened to Doodle's floor.
I'm getting there.
It's market update time. Let's set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean. Got your back. Grab your coffee. Let's break it down. Daily update right now.
I fumbled that there. I thought Steve was opening us up on the live read. We'll get that at the end. Looking at majors, bloody day in the streets, starting with Bitcoin down 2.5% to 84,911. ETH, which had been holding that 2K, lost it down 6.9% on the day, down to 1884. XRP down 5%. BNB down 0.23%. Solana down 5% to 130. Doge down 7% to 18 cents. Cardano down 4.67% to 69. And Tron rounds out the top 10 down 2.39. I jinxed it there to 22 cents. Not a great day in the crypto streets. And unfortunately, that did not necessarily lead to, I was wrong. I thought this chop, this range bound is actually going to be good for NFTs and alts. Maybe it is, but it didn't play out in the last 24 hours with most NFTs being flat or down themselves. I'm not familiar with Morph Black that led in volume. I'm guessing a new mint here, 369 sales in the last day, 345 in ETH. It's sitting at a 1.39 ETH floor. Pudgy Penguin down 5% on the day to 9.89, gave up that 10 ETH floor price. Bored Apes actually surprisingly up on the day where everything else is red. Mostly everything else is red, up another percent to 14.29. They've been on a ripper the last week. Doodles flat at 3.2% on the news. Little Pudgy's down 10% to 1.16. Mutants down 3% to 2.29. Good Vibes Club gave up a little bit of that pump, down 13%, but still holding 0.33. And Mochaverse at 2.49, Steve. Memes still continue to be flat. That seen a lot of continued volume for that collection. I'm not sure if there's something coming or it's, I know there was a fund that was doing a lot of buys. I'm not sure if there's more to it than that, but probably something worth doing a deeper dive if they keep holding, keep popping in the top 10 in terms of volume. I see we lost you on stage. We'll get you right back up there. And that is our daily market update brought to you by Awaken Tax. Go to awaken.tax, use code COFFEE at checkout for $50 off. That's coffee, COFFEE at awaken.tax, AWAKEN.TAX. Steve, back to you.
Yeah, appreciate you doing the live read for it. It is I had a technical difficulty there, so I popped off stage. I'm back on now, so we'll get this thing running. But definitely, I was curious what happened to the Dude token, but or with Doodles. Honestly, though, I do think that there is something to be said about, like, I was talking about this morning. It is so funny how, like, you know, we have this, like, you know, idea of decentralization and, you know, what crypto is supposed to be. Crypto is largely dependent now on what the government decides, which is good from a, you know, good for consumers and all of us. And that standpoint, I think interesting to see, like, hey, we got some economic data in one direction or another. Oh, we might not be getting rate cuts. Okay, crypto crashes, right? It's like less risk on asset. It's like it's become a, you know, basically NASDAQ on 4 lines of cocaine at this point. It's like, you know, it's like, hey, we have the, you know, craziness, you know, going on in the market because we're going to get rate cuts and people are going to be risk on. It's just funny seeing the correlation there to me a little bit, knowing where we once were in crypto. And we're now reliant on what does the biggest KOL right now is the president of the United States and Cynthia Lummis, right? So I just think it's funny seeing that sort of unfold as somebody who is a crypto enjoyer. So anyway, that's just a thought. But Doodles, you know what? Here's the thing that got me excited. I saw the Doodles announcement yesterday, and the reason why I asked about the daily market update related to that is that after the Doodles announcement, I asked myself, is it going to dump, right? Are they going to dump because it's not like a reason for liquidity and it's not exactly the most It's like, no, it actually pumped a little bit and then held stable. And it's like, that tells me the market's actually excited about something to do with Dude, which I think is kind of cool. So just seeing that unfold is a fun thing for me personally. So seeing that Discord and crash on that news is good.
I mean, valid point where, you know, apes were up, most other NFTs were down. And lately, announcements have had the inverse effect in terms of price action. So just even holding following an announcement is probably, you know, maybe not as good as the floor pumping, but certainly somewhat of a positive if it does hold following any major news. And just quickly scanning through the you know, the recent sales in the last day, I'm seeing several that were in that, you know, not WETH bids, you know, above floor. Like there's one for 5, there's one for you know, in the mid 3s, so 5.52. So people are collecting. It's not just apes where we're seeing, like, look, same thing there. You're seeing a lot in the 15s and 17s. Like that, I think, is very healthy signs when we see volume, even if floor is flat or down slightly. If we're seeing it's not volume because farmers are dumping into bids, rather people are collecting again. And I do think that this has come back, and that's also, I mean, to tie it back to the Tepper Wizards reveal, it's why I think that we'll see some really good rare sales because the collectors are back out in the market.
Yeah, totally. And I think, like, the question is, like I said, like, I'll say this, like, and I'll kind of say it again and emphasize it. My biggest beef with Web3, like, here's, like, again, you talk about ApeCoin, you know what they did right with ApeCoin? you immediately had a merch sale and then you immediately had a land sale. They gave you a reason to buy the token. People are like, oh my God, ApeCoin, it pumped on these speculative. Yeah, it pumped on those. It wasn't speculative pumps it pumped on. It pumped on people being able to have an actual use for the coin before they actually did something with it. And I think like, that's like a lesson that I don't understand. Like, and we immediately were like pounding the table of like, why not more utility? Why not more? Like, we were immediately pounding the table on that because to us, we're like, that's an important factor. Like, there should be use cases for tokens and sinks, monthly sinks, whatever it may be. To me, it's like I look at it and I'm like, why when you release, like, imagine we're like releasing like a new, what's a fucking random product, a new hair dryer, and you're like, you know what? There's no demand for this thing except for you can sell it to someone else at a lower price and it's eventually going to continually crash. I don't see value to me in releasing a product. And again, with liquidity events, fine. But like we talked about this with Blast, like Blast not being like a day one thing that you could like earn higher yield on, or like the things that they did not think about with the Blast token when they launched it. There was no usage for it. They didn't integrate it into dApps. They didn't talk to we know people who were building on Blast. They didn't talk to them about like incorporate this into your ecosystem. And I just think like Doodle's being thoughtful and being like, hey, we're going to release something that actually is going to have a use case day one. And we're trying to give you reasons to hold this thing if you want to build around here. And if it's not for you, that's totally cool. Use it as a liquidity event. But at the same time, like if you want to build with us, there's going to be opportunities here. And like when people build IP, if they're ultimately successful in doing so with this token, don't cry if you sold day one because you had an opportunity. That's what gets me bullish and excited. Not necessarily about the token. I'm not saying the token's going to pump. I'm not saying I'm going to be stacking this thing day one. But like, again, I'll say it again. There should be a reason you want to hold a token when you release a token. It shouldn't just be you drop a token and people just make money because then it dumps like every other token. So, other thing we didn't talk about, Cap, and we are advisors there, Mintified a little cook. Mintified a nice little cook. So I think seeing that get some recovery after the opening that we saw there is pretty good. So excited about that. But yeah, good.
No, on the token, it's the meme season. The idea of just dropping a meme coin, that's past, and I don't know if it's coming back. Not in that regard, where an NFT project can think they can drop a meme and that's going to run to $1 billion. It's just not happening. You can drop utility tokens. You can drop, like, there has to be something there. There has to be some sync. There has to be something to use. Otherwise, it's just it's aggressive profit taking. It's just going to lead to dumps, especially if you're incorporating other communities and stuff. It's going to be a race to the exits, and you got to get. There got to be a reason. There has to be a reason to hold. Otherwise, it's going to not only have negative price action on the token, it will pull down the NFT collection.
Yeah, I mean, when people say they're trying to expand their community with the token launch, the truth of the matter is, like, that's not really what's happening there. That's a it is an opportunity for a liquidity event, and it's just an opportunity for marketing, which is fine. Like, if it's a marketing tool, like, again, I was bitching about Kaido yesterday because I think people try to talk about Kaido being the future of this, that, and the other, and it's like, I don't know, man. I think Kaido is just a fancy marketing tool where people pay to get more marketing. And look, it works. That's great. Great attention. Good for you. It's not my, it's not like, I'm not like super over the moon about what Kaido brings to the table personally, from that perspective. But yeah, I don't know. Like that, like I think like token shares and token generation, like Kaido literally has a pre-TGE leaderboard that they do with this sort of stuff. And it's like, that's cool. But like, you're basically just saying we're a token pump, any pump, like you're paying for the marketing to be on our leaderboard to try to direct the conversation. Like, in the most charitable of explanations there, they're trying to get people to learn about new ecosystems that might stick around. But in reality, it's just controlling the timeline, showing their clients they can do so, and showing what that looks like. So I don't know. I'll get off my high horse on that. But like, my main point there being, I'm just going to stick to it. If you have a token generation event, give the people who bought it a reason to buy the token, and then you will probably see some great success there. Cap.
I agree. I also just changed the title because I didn't want to think Garga was trolling us. He explicitly said, not an insane announcement. So I was embellishing a little bit, but we do have multiple announcements excited to talk about here this morning. One that we'll probably save for last. It just got posted from the ApeCoin account. We will get into that after our guests join us. But we have another one that we're not sharing yet. Will be coming soon, but excited to get into that. I also pinned up top there was a good clip from Dude Lifts he went on a rant regarding DreamNet. That's pinned up top as well, as along with the official announcement. So if you haven't done so already, quick reset here. Go give us a like, repost, a bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. We got our guest joining us here in a few minutes, and would love to have a packed house for them and these upcoming announcements.
Yeah, Cam. So if people missed the announcement, we'll kind of share it on screen so you are aware for one of them. We'll talk about it a little more. But Cameron Cates, the CEO Yuga Labs Chief Business Officer, its Executive Director, CEO, is now joining ApeCoin. ApeCoin Foundation as Executive Director and CEO, former Chief Business Officer at Yuga, which we had the chance to be with him and Wabam on stage to talk a little bit about what they're building on ApeCoin. I think it's a logical person there, and I love putting someone like Cameron, who is a lawyer by trade, really smart thinker, wasn't as ingrained in the space, so he initially and thinks a little differently, obviously knows the space deeply now, but having that non-insular thinking, I think, was good for Yuga, and I think it's going to be really good for the Ape Foundation as well. So Executive Director and CEO going from the Chief Business Officer at Yuga. Obviously, if you're Chief Business Officer at Yuga, you're no joke. So I think it's a big deal. I'm excited for that one. So I think that'll be a cool one to talk a little bit more about with Garga. Don't need to stick too hard on that, knowing we're going to be talking about that in about 10 minutes, but big announcement there launched from them for sure.
Well, and before we have our guests join us, we should at least hit on our announcement. Also, we shared yesterday, we announced ApeCon, which is going to take place in April. Really excited to be hosting that with Steve and Laura. I think Laura's out there in the audience. Usually is. I know she's traveling this week, but longtime community member, fan of the show, friend, and really excited for this one. Sponsored by ThankApe. We've got 5,000 Ape going to be going to the winners. It'll be a day-long virtual conference for builders on ApeChain, and it'll culminate in a Shark Tank-esque startup competition where it's not only the 5,000 Ape we're going to be able to give away. We've got a lot of community prizes throughout the day, both for participants and audience. Just really excited. Passion project we've been talking about for truly years. It was one of the first. It was an idea I submitted for the original ApeCoin, or excuse me, the original Bored Ape Yacht Club grants. That two of the three that were selected was the one was Josh Ong's that ultimately led to the first Ape Fest, and the other was Jenkins the Valet. So very worthy recipients, and I did not move forward. Talked to a few others in the community, and excited to finally get to host this with the community. And 3-4 years in the making, long time coming, but really looking forward to it. We'll talk more as we get closer to that. But if you wanted to participate, there is an application linked in that announcement in the second comment. An application to participate.
And we'll continue to promote that as we keep going. But that was an exciting one because, again, like, it was funny because I know Joey Valls in the War Room was like, congrats on landing that. And I looked at, I kind of was like, it's not congrats on landing that. Like, you're getting picked. I think he said getting picked to host or something. I'm like, no. Cap has been working on this since like the pre-Coffee with Captain days. And we've been getting quite a bit of we've definitely been getting our fair share of discussions around that. Did a lot of work on it in the past year. Definitely had some meetings with Laura about that and kind of got that going. So to me, like, that was a that was an exciting one to see get over the goal line. When you told me it was happening and that ThankApe is helping even do a startup competition there, like, exciting things for us. So anyway, for my money, very excited for that one. So appreciate that and appreciate you, Cap, for continuing to bang the drum on that. And I'm excited to be part of it. And like you said, we'll talk more about it coming to the coming days, but big announcement day. So announcing ApeCon, in a few weeks, going to be an awesome discussion around ApeChain. Cameron Cates taking over, essentially being the leader of the ship, the head honcho over at ApeChain. Huge deal, big deal for ApeChain right there. I think going from Chief Business Officer to Yuga to roll into ApeChain. And apparently redacted announcement I'm not aware of that's going to be talked about today on the show. So a lot coming on in the next 5 minutes. With that 5 minutes to go, Cap, the other thing to throw out there, I'm curious your take on this. This is sort of some bigger market discussion talk here. I look at the
can you riff for like 90 seconds and I can listen to you as I go take a personal stream drop before
mobile stream drop. Go ahead and do your mobile stream drop. You got this. You did my live read for me this morning, so you can do mobile stream drop all day long. So if people miss this, 23andMe is essentially going under. And I never did 23andMe because I always thought, I don't know, volunteering my data to sort of rando place seems like it could go sideways pretty quickly. So I didn't want to volunteer my data there. A lot of people did, and I understand that. A lot of people went for it, and they're like, hey, like we're tossing our data in here because we want to know about our historical information. What people don't know about places like 23andMe or sort of these different companies is they take your DNA and they sell your DNA to others as they go, right? So it's like they basically take your DNA, you pay them to have this, and they give you information about your history, or maybe some of them give you information about your allergies, and they sell it on the back end. It is a not great use case for personal data. Well, you know, we always talk about blockchain potentially solves this. You take a privatized blockchain. In fact, we had Navigate on here last week, and Navigate told you about you opt into this thing, you volunteer your data, your Amazon history, etc. We sell it, we give you a kickback. It's sort of the equivalent. Like I always make this equivalent. People ask me like, how do stablecoins have yields and your bank sucks? The answer is your stablecoin basically does the same thing your bank does, but they share some of those profits with you and what they do on the back end of it. Very similarly, that's what Navigate is doing. They are taking your data on the back end. If they sell it, they give you a portion of it. You profit off your own data. Well, the Say Foundation has talked about doing just that. The Say, and who knows, a lot of people are calling it a fancy marketing campaign. I don't know, man. Maybe, but the Say Foundation is effectively saying they're going to take a run at buying 23andMe. They're going to buy it. They're going to put it on privatized blockchains, and they're going to give you the ability to actually buy, sell, and own your own data in that way, where you're able to own it, and they're able to kind of do the thing where we talk about this with medical records. Like, again, imagine your medical records were on the back end, and a company is interested in a 41-year-old male who's a little bit doughy, talking about myself, who's got, 2 kids, whatever. It's like, what is your health data? I want to do a study on that. I click, I opt in. They pay me for that data that they study. They do whatever they want with it. That sort of thing is interesting to me, and the Say Foundation thing is interesting. I'm also going to do a mobile stream drop, by the way, before we get to our guest.
Before you leave, because good take. I agree with you. I was not laughing at you. I'm laughing at, we've got one of the AI bots in the chat replied to this announcement and says, ApeCoin's next phase, ? Sounds like a plot twist in a mediocre sitcom. Cameron better bring the drama. Let's see if he can turn those bananas into gold. Like, the AI agents are getting pretty annoying in the comments, but that one did make me chuckle.
If you're gonna fuck around in the comments, at least be a little bit creative. That's what I like. But I'll be right back before we get our special guest, Cap. But get your take on the Say thing, dude, or anything else as we tee up our special guest to bring him in here in just a little bit.
Yeah, well, as I don't know if people remember, and I don't think I heard you mention the Genomes DAO. This was one of, even predates this show. So back in, must have been 2021, interviewed a couple of like neuroscientists who had started Genomes DAO, and they had basically a 23andMe competitor, but yet on chain, to where you own the data. And yeah, I think Say Network, it makes, like, hearing them talk and go through that back then, it just makes sense for these records to be on chain, for the actual users to benefit and share in those rewards and the incentives. And this, I mean, they basically, I may actually go back and listen to that interview, because they almost foreshadowed this coming, the end of 23andMe back in 2021. It's just like, it was a very, did not make sense as a for-profit publicly held company. Makes a lot more sense in a decentralized environment where the users own that data and can monetize it. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Herculean effort, I'm going to guess. Like, it's also, even, well, I think it makes more sense in a decentralized world. Hard to, like, I still don't understand how they can make the model profitable to sustain, because people aren't getting multiple of these tests. It's like a one and done thing. And many of the people have already done the test. So it's like, I think they're going to have to beat them up on price. Like, my concern is they empty their treasury on something like this, and they're without a real plan to turn it into a profitable venture. And then just going away. They end up just burning treasury funds, but because they have the treasury funds, they overpay for something that, private, VCs or family offices or someone wouldn't touch, because it just, I don't see any future for 23andMe or a competitor to buy them and attempt to do a better job at what they were doing. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's a fair take, and it's hard to do. It's gonna like just the same way I said, and by the way, we're gonna pivot to our special guest here in a second. Just the same way that I said, like, look, like if you're doing a token drop, you need to make sure you have a plan for it. If you acquire something like 23andMe, are you going to use connective devices to give more rich data that people are going to care about? Are you going to have people commit to doing a monthly sort of blood draw that they get paid for, that they get paid, that people are interested in as they opt into studies? Are you going to give them more specific things? Like those are the things that I think are important to make sure that they're really thinking about. So I think just the same way, it's like, I mean, again, we talked about it. ApeCoin, people are like, oh, ApeCoin cooked. Was it like all speculative? It's like, no, they gave utility of buying merch and and things off the site, sort of, apparel, and there was the throw blankets, and then they had the other side sale. Similarly, like if you do something like this, you need a plan. So I think that's what's going to be interesting to see if it does happen. I do think it was mostly a little marketing ploy because they were showing what the blockchain can do, but I would love to see it actually happen. So we'll see, Cap, but I'll let you pivot into special guests because we've hit the 9 o'clock hour, and it is a fun Friday here on Coffee with Captain.
It is a fun Friday. We've got multiple special guests we're just going to bring up on stage here in a minute. We've already kind of teased the announcement coming out of the Ape Foundation. That is pinned up top. We will be talking with Cameron and Garga here in a minute. We also have the surprise announcement that I don't even think Steve's aware of. I think we're going to start there. So Rita, I see we got Rita on stage. We've got Cam and Garga on our audio spaces behind the scenes. We've got all three. I'm not sure if Rita is going to come on video, but we do have him on stage. We're at least going to get to hear from him. And for some of our more, those that are deeper in the ecosystem, they might be able to start connecting these dots. Steve, I'm curious if you're aware of now that we have Rita involved in this announcement. Do you have any guesses what we might be talking about this morning?
Does it have to do with something to do with the other side being persistent come June and Rita's involved because he does 3D modeling and plays around with it? Or is it possibly like that would be initial guess. The other guess would be Rita's going to announce how to properly pronounce his name on Spaces. I think that's a big one because nobody gets it right. So maybe one of those two. I could keep going because I could actually pull a cavalcade of guesses out, but I'm just going to not do it. I'm going to let you just get right to it.
Well, my favorite thing, if you're new here, I'm known for mispronouncing words, which Steve...
Everything. Literally everything, yeah.
And my favorite word to mispronounce is Rita and Rita's name. I said both because the favorite thing I heard at in NFT Paris was we were arguing, we were debating. There was multiple people in this community debating, is it pronounced Rita, is it pronounced Rita? And I don't remember who told us, but they said directly from Rita or Rita is that whatever someone asks him, he responds with the other one. So he's tugging at my heartstrings with the mispronunciation being the correct pronunciation just to troll everyone in the community. So Rita or Rita, GM, sir, welcome. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
I do not have the audio, so that is fun.
Can we get a quick mic check from Garga?
Hey, can you hear me?
Okay, got Greg. So Rita, maybe I always just unplug it and plug it back in. Now the mic, it does look muted now.
So we'll try the unmute, and if not, we can get him on Spaces. Technical difficulties have been the theme lately between X and streaming, so it's been really fun. There's a moment, I'm probably going to share it on the timeline. There's a moment where we had the space crash and we had an issue, and you could see my soul leave my body live on Coffee with Captain. I have this look back, so I made it like Ghibli style over in ChatGPT. So I might share those because it's just like me just being like, you see my soul leave my body. Cap just goes fuck, and we lost it. So it'd be a good one, but hopefully we got it back. Rita, give it another try. We got nothing. Let's try Spaces. Hit us on Spaces. It's all right. We'll power through this thing. We're gonna make it work. Which is by the way, just anticipation added to the announcement, Cap.
So yeah, this is all part of the plan. Rita, I do see your account on the X Spaces on audio. So you want to unmute that and we'll see if we can hear you.
You can hear me now.
We got you. A little light, but you're coming through. So
I just gave him a thumbs up as if he could see me on video. So that's where my head's at on this Friday.
Well, GM, appreciate you powering through the tech challenges with us. Always a pleasure. Welcome. Do you want to give any tips or hints on the correct pronunciation of Rita or Rita?
It's exactly what that guy told you guys. It's whatever you didn't say. It's the other one.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite name in the entire club. But in all seriousness, thanks for joining us. You do so much. You're out there. We've got Dashbo and G's taking over the ape chain ecosystem. This is, we talk about leaders pushing the space forward. I'm not saying this just because you're on the space with us. You are truly one of the great leaders in the club, in the community. I think there's been a lot of excitement. I know there's been a lot of excitement and activity around Ape Chain. And while it is, I feel organic, it's organic because of leaders like yourself and all that you do to, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you have the hours in the day, especially when we're talking about, when we do share this upcoming announcement about one of the things you've been working on. I don't know how you get it all done. And just before we get started and dive into that, just want to say thanks. Appreciate all you do for the community and the ecosystem, and great to have you in the club, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you. On behalf of me, Rita, and my twin brother, Ryder, we thank you for having us on here. But I think the announcement is, I'm not supposed to be making the announcement as well. I think it's Garga that's supposed to be making the announcement.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Well, maybe StreamYard knew, and that's why we wouldn't let you share. So we're gonna keep Rita on ice, and Garga, pleasure, GM. Second time we've had you on the show here. First time on video. By the way, if you're want to check out the video, the X video is pinned up top. Feel free to join us there, as well as over on YouTube. But GM Garga, I hope you're having a great week. We can jump right into it if you like. I know we got a lot of things to talk about this morning, but before we do start talking the big secret announcement involving Rita, anything else you'd like to talk about this morning? Anything else you wanted to share with those tuning in?
No, I'm excited to join you guys. Kudos to you guys for doing this so early every day. I was like sitting here at my desk, hanging out, listening for a while, and getting like sun directly in my eye. I'm like, well, this is new because I'm never at my desk at 8 a.m. bright and early. It's usually, we roll in around 9:30. So anyway, it's good to be here. And in terms.
Ooh, might have lost you for a second there. This is a fun comedy of errors we're having here.
I can join on my phone if you think that's better, if we're still gonna have this.
Ooh, try one more time, because we got you now, and if it doesn't work this time around, we'll flip it over. We'll do it old school space, sort of, and do it at the Spaces style, the AM radio of the world. No
worries. So, as you guys know, we released with Rita and his team, Inceptive Studios, Dashbo, about a month ago, maybe at this point. And it allows for anybody to basically create UGC content with their Bored Ape. There's a really killer merch try-on bit where like basically everything that we ever made can be tried on by your Bored Ape. There's some meme templates. It's easy to pose. It's easy to like generate a 3D.
I lost him again.
Let's flip it over to the space. We jumped it. We gave it a try. I promise, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cameron's going to work on here. We're going to get Cameron to work on video, but what we're going to do is we're going to go to Garga on the space. We're going to get him talking a little bit about this going on. He was teeing up Dashbo a little bit there, which I think everybody really loves. It's been really cool. There's been some great integrations there made by Ace Product. It really feels of the community, which I love. But Garga, let's try you one more time. Let's get you on Spaces. You there?
If you can hear us, yeah, there you go. Check. We got you on Spaces.
I know this sucks, but I'm happy I'm not the only one with mic issues here.
We've had an interesting thing today. So Garga's doing a lap. He went to listener. We're gonna get him back up here. Rita, while we're getting Garga back up here, talk a little bit about Dashbo and what it is for those people who aren't familiar with it, because at least for me, I am not somebody who can do 3D modeling. You know my good friend Tebow. Actually, the dude was in my wedding. I knew him long before Web3. I've known him for 20 plus years. Him and you, I saw doing 3D modeling all day. You got a whole crew. And then you created a product that we could all actually use. Can you give us a little background on Dashbo, and then we'll go back to Garga?
Yeah, so from the beginning, NFTs you own the JPEG, and people have been trying to create content from the get go, whether it was with GM mugs or different 2D stuff that was being done before. But again, animation in 2D was very hard to do, and people to express themselves with their JPEGs was hard until Yuga, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, released their 3D models. It was limited to those that can model, animate, and rig and animate their models that were creating content on the timeline, like Tebow, like the others, other goats from the community. Then Bored Ape Yacht Club launched the 3D models, and things got a lot harder. A lot more people started joining and animating those apes, but it came down to less than 80% or 70% of the holders. So we came up with this idea to create a platform that democratizes content creation with your 3D models. So somebody like you, Steve, who doesn't know how to use 3D, can create a GM animation or a GM pose and post it on his timeline in less than 2 minutes. That was the idea behind it. And it's been we've been seeing the timeline increase with 3D content and people creating different cool stuff with their apes, with their IP.
It really is incredible. I've got it pulled up for those that are tuned into the video. You can see I've got Dashbo pulled up with my ape in here now, and just not only is it the ease of use, it just as Rita described. My favorite thing when I saw was all the other NBA brands brought into this. So you start thinking about you start thinking about that user generated content, as he mentioned. It's not just things that you want to create with your ape and have to start from ground zero. Like if you want to put a pair of board shorts on, it's a click of a button, right? It's such a, we talk about decentralized IP and the community working together to build things. Like this has far exceeded my expectations from a user generated content platform. And the to think this was like ready at launch, it gets me really excited to think about what might be coming down the road. Maybe even something that we get a share today with everyone. Garyag, I see we got you back on stage. Let's do a quick mic check.
Hey guys.
Hey, we got you loud and clear.
Amazing. Yeah, sorry about that. I guess my Wi-Fi is acting up today. But that was great to just get the download from Rita on Dashbo, and to, so up until now, it's really just been Bored Apes available in Dashbo, but as of a little later today, we're going to be having all Mutant 3D models from Rita's team. These are, community built, Inceptive Studios created Mutant models, but they look great and they're fun. They're all going to be up on Dashbo for folks to play with. And I know Mutant holders have been waiting a long time for these, so we're super stoked to get them into their hands and for them to start creating with them as well.
Garga, let me ask a little bit about that, because I remember initially when the Bored Ape Yacht Club models dropped, everyone was excited, and of course, everyone just said when mutants, because we can never just be happy with shit we get in Web3. We always got to say what's next, and so people were like, when mutants, when mutants. Was that, from my understanding, there was a strong challenge with that because the mutants have such levels of details. We got mutants in the chat already going nuts, by the way. Was that the reason? Was it the actual technical challenge of making something that complicated? Was it just a time and energy challenge? Because I know people are going to be excited about this, but what was the initial challenge up front that sort of Rita undertook to make this happen?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, mutants are insane. That was the rallying cry for a reason. They're incredibly detailed, ultra maximalist when it comes to the design. It was always around trying to push for more detail and more insanity. And, when we started Mutants, we weren't necessarily thinking about 3D models at the time. And so as we started to go through the process of creating the 3D models for all of our collections, we started with Bored Apes to get the pipeline right. We have the added difficulty of, we're building on Improbable's M squared tech stack, which means we're supporting in other side thousands of players in the same lobby. Second Trip had 7K people in one lobby with no lag or anything like that. And what that means when you do that is like you're less like outputting 10,000 different 3D models, making them available at any time and then the server's grabbing them. What it's actually doing is more like generating them on the fly, where it's saying like, cool, here's 172 traits or thereabouts, and we're going to, Steve's ape has these traits, so I'm going to grab these on the fly and put it together. And of course, there's all these different rules and exceptions that go into the process and the pipeline for when, oh no, like, his ape, his hat will clash with this other thing, so we have a special exception here or there or otherwise. And so when you think about mutants and the level of texture when it comes to their fur, the different kind of things outcropping from them and all that, like it just gets wild and crazy. It's part of the fun of the collection, but it's the reason why we felt like we needed to get our feet under us on Bored Apes, then tackle codas, which are quite complicated, and then have mutants forthcoming. And so this collection is mutant holders' first real taste at scale of being able to see their apes in 3D and play with them. But it is, these aren't the final official Yuga models for other side, because there's still plenty of work that we need to do to get those quite ready. And so we're gunning on that process, but it's a huge milestone, and these were super lovingly made by Rita and his team. And we did obviously have some feedback throughout the process and are stoked on them. So we're excited for folks to see them and play with them.
So I wasn't exactly right, Cap. I'll toss it right back to you. So I'm going to give myself, I guess maybe it's something to do with other side. Not exactly, but it did have to do with modeling. So look, I'm going to give myself 7 out of 10. C's get degrees. Cap, I'll hand it back to you.
No, it's close. I was going to say you were directionally accurate. And I think I'm not even exaggerating. I think like we saw the 3D apes take over the timeline. This isn't taking a shot at any apes. Mutants, the reality is the mutants just pump out far more content from a UGC standpoint than do most of the apes. Yes, there's twice as many, but I have a feeling, and I know Tebow now holds an ape or 2 or 3, but it's like I think back to like the content he was putting out when he first got his mutant, and it's like there's so much of that activity. And to your point, it's been a request for so long. So many of these mutants have wanted to to create with their IP. I think this is going to be, brace yourselves. I think we're going to see a lot of mutants on the timeline over the next upcoming weeks.
Yeah, should be an exciting time for sure. Definitely. Congrats on that, Rita. I'm excited about that. Appreciate just the leadership. Like, this is sort of what this is about, because, again, I probably said this quote a gazillion times and people might be sick of hearing it, but like one of my favorite quotes from that original interview that, Garga and Gordon did, where it was like, you build the sandbox, people build the people, members of the club build the sand castles. Like, that's what's happening here. And I like to see it. And the flexible IP right model is something that I think is a really, really fun one that we're starting to see. It's funny. It was flexible IP model and everybody copied it. And then we went to this route where there's a lot of, brands who kind of controlled the IP. Now we're seeing a return to a lot more flexible IP. We had Final Bossu on here last week. We see what's happening with some of the other, brands in the wild. Doodles, what they announced yesterday. Flexible IP rights are definitely a thing that we're seeing more and more put into play. So, Cap, I'm pretty excited about this one. And I'm excited to see what the mutants are able to do, because you give them a chance to cook, they'll make some 5-star meals.
And to that, I don't want to put more work on Rita's plate. I know you've got, again, I don't know how you find time in the day to get everything done that you're working on. But for those, like, you go through that, Dashbo, and you see the NBA designs, you see the Ape Fest merch designs, and I don't know if it's every piece of merch is dropped, but there's many from the collections over the years. If they've got a brand they want to get included into the studio, into Dashbo, is it is there a process for that? Should they just, is the answer be patient for now? As you gotta, got a few other priorities, but is there anything like, did they DM you? Like, what does that look like if someone wants to get their merch or whatever it may be into the studio?
We have a form up. We tried hiding it a bit because we were delivering the mutants and all that, but it is free of charge for all NBA brands to have their products 3D modeled and put onto Dashboard. That was part of what our deal was with the ApeCoin DAO and the Bored Ape Yacht Club to help all the different NBA brands to get on there. But you just have to send us an email, images of your products, your license number, and we get it put on queue to start modeling it.
It's awesome. And I'm not kidding, Steve. I really, truly do believe this is the sort of, I've been saying for years, like there's real synergies that exist when you get hundreds, if not thousands of like-minded individuals coming together, building around a common brand. And then when you have individuals and teams like that Rita's leading that help, it's like you've called it like fanning the flames or pouring fuel on the fire. Like this takes the community working together to an entirely different level, and beyond the content we might start seeing on the timeline, I truly do believe it's these sort of relationships that makes the club so special. And I don't think you can find it anywhere else in the world. And I say this, someone who came from the 20 years in the franchising industry, this is really special. And it's the collective leadership we see from Garga, from Cam, from not only Yuga and the Bored Ape Yacht Club, not only the Ape Foundation, but it's an environment where if you want to participate, if you want to support one of these initiatives, reach out to a leader. I'm sure there's things that you can, like, sometimes it's starts with volunteering or just truly helping and not looking for necessarily a paid or salaried role. But I do think the opportunities that exist within this ecosystem are near limitless due to this, these synergies that already exist. And I can just see it really leveling up with tools like Dashboard, tools like the studio, and not even talking about yet the persistent other side that you alluded to earlier.
Well, and I know we're gonna get onto that. And we're gonna talk a little bit here. We're gonna talk to Cam. But before we get into that, you said it, like, last time we had Garga on the show, best way to make friends on the internet. Still to this day, I totally agree with that. And any Ape Fest, attend any Ape Fest or any event, and you will have that. I do want to ask Garga a persistent metaverse question before, because it's quasi related here. So one, you've been doubling down persistent metaverse June. Just want to make sure that is still in the plans. And two, maybe you can't give away the goose on this one, so I'm curious, but is it going to be a persistent on-chain metaverse? Is there going to be offline instances that call back to the metaverse where you can bring off-chain stuff online? I'm curious what details you could share about that, because the nerd in me is very excited about the actual usage of it and how it's going to work. And I'm curious, maybe if I'm one of a very few nerds who cares about the actual operational aspect of it, but curious what, is the plan still June? And can you share anything about the how behind it? Or is that like, no, that's a secret sauce I can't?
Yeah, so it's looking like next year. No, just kidding. We're super stoked. Figgy, my chief product officer, is very deep in the details and leading the charge for the June persistent state. When it comes to on-chain, we have a lot of different apps.
I lost him again. You, Steve?
Yeah, we lost Garga, which was, by the way, perfect timing when it comes to on-chain and to the Sopranos. He just he pulled that perfectly. Actually, that's a slick move. Let us know if you're back, Garga, if we got you. I think your internet's being spotty. May want to pop on 5G and let the towers let the towers take the wheel on that one. Do we have you? We roll through.
Maybe if you can hear us, Garga, maybe quick lap, leave the space, force close X, turn off your Wi-Fi, and rejoin just on your wireless connection.
That said, Cap, we ride on. We'll get Garga back in here at some point. Should we bring on Cam? Talk a little bit of.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. What's going on? Kim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Appreciate your patience as you're jumping on. It was great to meet in person in Paris and do the stage. So congrats, by the way, of moving from, sort of point A to point B here. You actually went from a very, very important role at Yuga to a very, very important role with the foundation. Can you talk about what that role position is for people who don't know? Because it was announced it was coming through a little bit ago, but what is this role that you're entering?
Yeah, appreciate it. GM guys. It's good to see you both. So Ape Foundation announced that I'm joining as the executive director and CEO. So this stems from late last year. The Ape community doing what it does best, came together, figuring out how they want to lead themselves, and they passed a governance proposal, the governance revamp that established sort of this role. I think the view from the community, this is the third, if I remember, full governance change. I'm not sure any other community that has the power to do that. But they sort of saw how the market was turning, as apes always do. And they said, we want someone who can step in and lead, with more of sort of a corporate focus. And, I know the teams, looked, long and hard here, but I'm glad that, at the end of the day, I was the right guy for the job.
That's awesome. And one of the things that like Cap has talked about quite a bit, and I think is interesting, is we talk about this. This has never been done before. This weird synergy between you have Yuga Labs, which is one entity. You have the DAO, which is yet another entity, which is, hey, like for example, our title sponsorship was Ape Chain last year because we got a grant passed by the community for 6 months to make them our title sponsor. And then you have Ape Chain, which launched and has become honestly like the most fun place for us to play around because people are actually, just buying and having fun and not needing to put exorbitant amount of money at risk necessarily, but having fun, joining community. So we have all of these three components. How difficult is it to get this trinity to work together? Because they all have different directives. They all have different sort of initiatives, and yet they all are interconnected in some place in the Venn diagram. Is that part of what you'll be doing with other leadership at various groups here? Like, explain that sort of connection and how you get them moving symbiotically together.
Yeah, I think it's such a good point. And I want to, I know Greg might not be back up on the stage yet, but I want to give, the shout out to him and to Wiley and the founders of Yuga for starting all of this that we've all been able to play a part in, and now having such, meaningful growth. I think Cap, you started with like how many people dedicate themselves day in and day out to building this community. Steve, you're bringing up how many sort of, at this point, how many real meaningful businesses and institutions have grown. And yeah, that is a huge focus of this. I mean, I want to try and look around the globe where we've built. We haven't always had the opportunity to do it. I know we have deep networks in Asia and in Europe and the US that we haven't explored. And so it's really, how do we bring this all together, to build around one central idea and one central IP. But most importantly, it's also, how do we finally now, as the regulatory environment's changed in the US, how do we work closer with Yuga? We've all felt that tension and that pain point. Greg and Wiley love the community and have wanted to be able to grow and lean in. And I think this is just showing the commitment on Yuga that, I'm able to take a step from Yuga into the Ape Foundation full time so that we can all be a hell of a lot closer.
And go ahead, Cap.
No, I was going to say, like, I love it. I shared this yesterday when I first heard that this is, I mean, first of all, big congrats to Cam. Not only am I excited because I think he's the perfect fit, I feel that just the position itself. I was excited when I first heard the announcement of the executive director position coming on. I think it's needed. I think it's something that the reality is that the blockchain space is extremely competitive. The L2 landscape, L3, it's only getting more competitive. And for as much as we love this decentralized approach, we need leaders. And there's a reason that traditional organizations, traditional hierarchies, traditional org charts have worked for centuries, because it works. And to have someone steering the ship, not in a as a dictator, but rather working with all these different entities, as you mentioned, like it's not easy. No one's ever really quite built anything quite like this. And I got really excited. Okay, we're going to have a leader leading a very important division of this entire ecosystem. And I mean, I shared a couple of comments already up top. I'll grab it here on stage, but similar feedback from the community, just rave reviews from those that have had a chance to work with you and speak with you in the past. And I'm excited for those that haven't. I saw like one case that, having spoke with Cam multiple times in the past, I'm super bullish with this announcement. Extremely dynamic and hands-on type of guy. Send Ape to 69 with haste. I saw another great post from Dilly just go out. I'll grab that in a second. But just those that have had a chance to work with Cam and understand how he operates, I think there's for those individuals, a collective excitement. And I am excited for everyone else who hasn't had a chance to work with you directly to see this impact. And this isn't to put the pressure on you. And it's not like Ape Chain is going to win or fail based on what Cam does, but we do need a captain of the ship, so to speak. And I'm grateful that you're in the role. Congrats again. And I think that as I said yesterday, I think the community is going to be pretty excited about this one. And it looks per the comments, it looks to be the case this morning.
I appreciate that. And, appreciate you're not adding pressure, but for anyone who doesn't know me, know that I put that pressure on myself. I don't know if we're allowed to curse on the show, but I want to fucking win. Like, so badly. I want Ape to win. I've been here from the start, from the literal earliest days. I can remember where I was when ApeCoin dropped, in the role I had a chance to play there. And I just want Ape to win. I want the Ape ecosystem to win. And that's honestly why I'm stepping in. And having the backing of the Yuga founders, having the backing of community, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like we're all, running in the same direction here. But we know there's a lot of work in front of us. And anyone out there who's got big ideas, anyone out there who wants to win, you will have my phone number. You will have my Telegram. You can find me anywhere. I will take the call. I'm not going to back down from this.
Well, and Cam, actually, that's a great, you made the point, for those of you who don't know you, I think it would be almost good. We totally, we're going to Christopher Nolan this and send it back to the beginning of the movie here. And we're going to say, for those who don't have your background, I actually remember when we met in person, and I was sort of, you're this human embodiment of a calm, let's fucking go. You have this calm demeanor, but you have this let's fucking go attitude about you. But people who maybe don't know your background, both prior to Web3 and where we're at, why don't we give people that who maybe people aren't familiar?
For sure. So I think that best place to start is I'm a Philly boy. So that demeanor and that desire to win comes from my hometown here. So Dilly, Cap, thank you for shouting out Dilly, fellow Philly guy there. But yeah, so, I started my career as a lawyer, actually. I worked at big law firms in New York and in Philadelphia doing large scale M&A deals, cap market deals. But I got that bug in 2016. I did a fintech deal, and the partner there said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this crypto stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, of course I've heard." And that was at a time when Coinbase wasn't even allowed in New York, so you had to physically drive to New Jersey to catch Wi-Fi. That was a different IP address. And I did a essentially an ICO. It wasn't a fraudulent one, I promise. There won't be a history there. And I just caught the bug, and everything I wanted to do was from there on out in my career was crypto. And I just chased law firms that would let me do it. I ultimately had a chance to land at Fenwick with the great Andy Albertson and Ryan Strauss and all the guys over there. And this was at that 2021 just peak bull. We were just racing after everyone. I had a chance to represent some of the most amazing companies in the space. Whether it was the Magic Eating guys, Jack and Sid and Rex and Z over there, whether it was the Arbitrum guys, Steve, and Harry and Ed and those guys, whether it was the Coinbase team. And so just getting the chance to sort of see every angle of the space, really let me sort of think about what was that I wanted to do. And of course, coming in and kicking in the door were, Greg and Wiley. This was right after the Mutant drop. I had no idea what their real names were, just like all you guys. They still, went by pseudonyms even with us. And I got to see them from Mutant drop all the way through, joining them a few months later as the first chief legal officer of the team, being a right hand to Nicole and the founders. And I've been there, almost 3 years now. I always describe it as a lawyer, you help people build roller coasters, and I wanted to finally ride one. And it's been the absolute ride of a lifetime.
That's awesome. I want to actually go back to Garga here a little bit and talk about, two things. One, I want to get your thoughts on sort of Cam's fit in this role. Well, actually, let's start there. I want to go back to Garga and get your thought on Cam's fit in this role, because are you drinking, Cam, the water from the video? Is that what that is, by the way? He's got the water from the Good Morning video, or the morning routine video. So I had to comment on that before it took me aback anytime you see it. It was the DiCaprio meme. I was like, look, Garga, I want to go back to you. Talk about Cam's fit for this role and why it makes, because it made sense to us as soon as we heard it. We're like, aha, totally makes sense. Talk about your perspective from where you sit, having, worked with him so closely in a startup and what that means.
Yeah, for sure. And look, just to put it into context here, we have come out of one administration that was seemingly hell-bent on killing all crypto in the US to one that is encouraging, crypto companies in the US to lead. And I think that implies some big changes and opportunities. You've seen how different folks have reacted to that news. It feels like every person in the space is working on a stable coin or something like that. And for us, we have been operating with one or both hands tied behind our backs in a lot of different ways. We shared the news recently that the SEC finally dropped its meritless case into us, as they have been doing with many other actors in the space. And we want to lean in and do a lot of things that we were eager to do and would have done years ago if we didn't have to, ask permission and apologize every step of the way. And AIP 582, set aside a budget and a plan for an executive director. The team, throughout the last few months have been getting to know the special counsel more, and talking to different folks about that role. I think there was a plan to go out looking, go out headhunting for some person. And to me, I'm always super bearish on that kind of process. I think you should be looking for who are the people that are already doing this work that you can uplift and empower and set to run, because our space is so incredibly idiosyncratic and it has its own qualities. We have our community is only like us. If we were like anybody else, we wouldn't have had the phenomenal run that we did. And so having somebody like Cameron, who, Wiley and I have spent thousands of hours on the phone with, that knows how we think and what matters to us and how we make decisions. And that importantly, that we can call and talk to and strategize on ways to push ApeCoin in its growth. I think that's hugely important. Cam's also a lawyer by trade, so he knows exactly how the DAO was set up and what needs to be done to streamline operations more and make things more efficient. And we're just super stoked that he's willing to jump into the breach here and help as the executive director. I think couldn't really think of anybody better for the job, for sure. He's incredible.
I shared this yesterday. I'll share it to the audience as well. I wholeheartedly agree. And you mentioned the headhunter. I'm so glad that that wasn't the route that was. And it could have been the headhunter could have found the greatest executive director in the world. They would have had at best a 6-month learning curve, if not a lot longer. And not only is Cam familiar with yourself and the rest of the team, but to be familiar with this space, there's just no way around it. There is a real learning curve here in crypto and Web3. And I think, I said it yesterday, something like, this doesn't feel like we're hitting the ground running, but full sprint. It's just, I think maybe this goes full in effect April 1st. It's not starting from zero April 1st. I feel like we're starting from 60 miles an hour because of that familiarness with the team, the industry. And yeah, I couldn't agree more that couldn't have found a better person, on the planet due to everything you just mentioned.
What, Cam, can I ask about the shift here that Garga just talked about? Because now you're taking over something where you're like, am I going to get sued? Am I going to go to jail? Am I going to first of all, Garga's, sometimes I say this in the most endearing way, fucking psycho. You have people coming to your house. You have SEC coming down. You have co-founders getting debanged. You have SEC lawsuits, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to step back into this job. And I know you said job's not finished last time you had you on, and that was great. It's crazy. But Cam, I want to ask your opinion on this. It's does it make it a little bit more fun to actually step into this role because it feels like you finally have some tailwinds instead of playing the game on hard mode?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it feels to me like we have that energy of like that 2020, 2021 period before the prior administration sort of started trying to stranglehold everyone. Like, I remember those days, like the visions were big, the ideas were massive. Like, people wanted to experiment, they wanted to try things. And like, I think there was a period of time where like our space lost that because everyone, as Greg said, like you had to feel like you asked permission and apologize and double back. And so, you know, you can already feel the trickle, like the conversations we're taking on the Banana Bill side, like the partners that have come back, the large brands that have come back saying, hey, we want to start working again. Like, you feel like you're in the greenscape and being able to actually take swings. I mean, if you're in the game, the best thing you want to do is swing away.
Yeah, I think, Greg, actually, same question to you. Just, you know, as far as like what you're living with, do you, because like you can give us an honest assessment. Like, are we out of the woods? Are we still in the wood? Like, because we were in the woods with a flickering flashlight before. Now it's like, are you just, you know, walking through and it's a little bit brighter? Like, does it feel like we're finally coming out of it and you're getting to not play the game on hard mode as these things happen? And then how do you, I guess the follow-up to that, the fast follow would be like, one, do you think we're out of the woods? And two, how do you remain optimistic throughout all this? Because it felt kind of grim for a little bit there. And now suddenly it feels like we have this like flourishing opportunity where it's like, hey, let's experiment with tech again in the United States. So do you feel like we're out, and how did you stay optimistic with all that going on?
For sure. Look, I think it's a new morning in crypto. It's a new morning for crypto in the USA. And I think people underestimate the chilling effect and how much the kind of stuff that we see in the market was a direct result of the posture that regulation had towards crypto. You know, you had Pump.Fun and meme coins as the only thing that was taking off over the past 2 years. And there's plenty of people that are saying, oh, well, it's just more pure, you know, it's just pure gambling or hyper financialization of our times, or, you know, memes are viral and this makes perfect sense. And I don't disagree with some of those thoughts, but at the same time, the posture was basically that this was the one thing that you could do. And if you have every other big actor that you can pick up, that's docs, that you can pick up a phone and call, getting letters in the mail from the SEC and having to spend hundreds of thousands or millions or even tens of millions sometimes to deal with intrusive regulatory, you know, and capricious regulatory concerns, it's really hard to get the job done. And so, you know, there's a period of time here between like when the boot comes off the neck and you're able to start shifting gears and building and shipping. And I think we're in that time, and we're excited for this next phase.
Can I ask, how bad did it get? Was there ever a time where you thought we're going to have to relocate out of the US? Did it get that far or not quite?
You know, the problem is you never know what's going to happen. And so, you know, there was this feeling from our end of wanting to cultivate the community that has always existed for Bored Ape overseas. You know, it's hard to want to build a permanent clubhouse in the United States when, you know, you're not even sure that they'll let you operate here. And it makes sense to hold Ape Fest overseas when, you know, when the market and regulators and stuff is just way more bullish at times in other places. So it definitely was something that was on our mind, as it was, I think, for a lot of people.
It really hit me. You say over at Hong Kong Ape Fest, it was an eye opener for me. I was like, I felt like they were like 5 to 10 years ahead of us in terms of just like embracing. It wasn't just the crypto, you know, nerds. It wasn't just those of us that are chronically online. It just felt like everyone was. Crypto was just, it was already incorporated into the everyday life over there in so many different facets. And while we maybe still have a little bit of catching up to do, it does feel like we've made some big leaps. And I can only imagine going from an environment where you felt you had such significant headwinds into this one now where it feels like some real tailwinds. I mean, just even talking about, bringing Ape Fest back to the US this year, like that's the sort of, Yuga is a leader in crypto, in Web3. And I think bringing that back here, I am looking forward to seeing if we have not just the big brands, but maybe some other things come out of that in terms of, not that we want regulators and people in Congress coming to our Ape Fest, but do you see Yuga taking on a even more active role in terms of, on the regulatory front, on the political front, or are you kind of like now you're free to build, and if they come to you with questions, you'll pick up the phone?
Yeah, look, we're here to talk and share, and educate and share insights to what's going on in the market. But that's when asked and when we think it's important. But I'm not here to play politics. I just want to, I made a fucking swamp club for apes on the internet and just want to keep having fun and building stuff.
Cameron, along those lines, now that it's getting a little bit more, hey, we can play around and operate here. And what I love is we've seen this alluded a couple times. We're starting to see it come, and we've seen, Garga say, now we can do shit we actually wanted to do. And that's exciting for everybody in the club, I think. But now, I mean, in your new role with the shackles off a little bit, what are sort of your initial sort of, day zero sort of priority zeros that you're going to be like, all right, I need to get these? And what is sort of a long-term vision that you bring to this role as you start to blow it out?
For sure. It's such a good question. And I'm actually with Wabam and One Kim today, in New York working on it. Both of them, it's a good time to talk about. Wabam's continuing on his role. He's been special counsel last 2 years. He's going to be staying on as chief strategy officer here, continuing to build alongside me. One Kim, who's was my right hand, head of partnerships at Yuga. He's taking the jump as well, and he's coming over as chief commercial officer because we need a full team here. We need to be able to operate, across the board. So we're here. We're whiteboarding it all out. I mean, look. I think the community's vision, the fact that they saw like we needed to make change, we had to bring in a leadership team, speaks to the fact that like we need to bring operational efficiency. So like there's gonna be a short period of time where it's like we got to get our bearings right, we got to take it down to the studs a little bit, get ourselves into a place to be lean, mean, and ready to move forward, and then like actually go and execute against that. So making sure we have the right team in place, making sure we have the right resources, making sure we're using our treasury effectively, like those are some core business principles we just have to get right if we're going to be successful. But the opportunity after that is really big. I mean, like I said, I think because we were so decentralized, we had incredible energy building across the world, but we weren't able to harness that together. And so when I talked to like Hazel on special counsel, shout out to Hazel, like this whole week hearing about what everyone in Asia is working on, hearing about the fact that like from the US side, I don't know if I've ever known that. There's an opportunity to reach out and build that bond and actually grow in markets that like we haven't had a chance yet. You've talked to Dim in Europe, right? And you're like, hey, what's going on there? Like, that's a huge piece of what we want to do is really harness that community energy, amplify that community voice, direct everyone into the same place. But it has to have that ape spirit. Like we've always had a personality. I think when you look back when Ape Chain launched, Garga and Figgy both said, like, this is a chain with personality. That's what it has to be.
You mentioned Dim, and it brings me back to NFT Paris. I said after NFT Paris, like that doesn't happen if it's not this model, right? Like, sure, the Ape Foundation might have had a presence there, or sure, the community might have had a presence there, but that's what makes this so special. And I don't think the space at large has fully grasped that yet. Like that booth at NFT Paris was a DAO initiative led by Dim, a community leader who got the ball rolling. And then we had yourself and Wabam and like everyone come together from the foundation, from Bored Ape Yacht Club, from Yuga, the community. That sort of stuff is really unique. It's really special. I think it's the power of the club. I said it earlier, like we still need leaders. We still need structure, and that coordination, I think, is maybe what's been lacking, to no one's fault. It's just, this is really hard to get all these, boats rowing in the same direction. And that's what I get most excited about now, is it feels like from a coordination standpoint, it feels like we've really leveled up with just some changes. Same team, but empowered a little bit differently. And I think just ideal alignment from my perspective.
Yeah, I want to I actually want to go a little bit of a hard pivot question that I always want to ask, and I'm always curious about this one. So I'm going to go Garga first and Cameron to see if we get like different answers on this. So Garga, I'll go to you for, or maybe I should go to Cameron. Well, no, not your boss anymore. So I guess you're not like, you can answer however you want now. You're free to go. But Garga, do you ever get like again, this is a hard pivot, but it's something I've always wanted to ask. I had a thread a while ago that people don't put enough respect on Bored Ape Yacht Club's name because most projects are effectively a copy pasta. Not totally. They do their own thing, but they'll do some mechanic and act like it's novel. And it's like, it's almost like The Simpsons. It's like somebody does something and it's like, The Simpsons did that 9 years ago. Do you get frustrated with the lack of recognition of the amount of things you've pioneered? Or do you just say, whatever, we want the space to grow? Like, is there a chip on your shoulder about that? Because like, or am I just like insecure and have a chip on my shoulder about that? Because I sometimes get frustrated that people don't give the recognition. So I'm curious your thoughts on that, Garga, and then I want to get Cameron's answer.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Look, personality wise, I think I'm just very like keep my head down and don't worry about stuff like that. It takes me back to a conversation I had with Wiley years ago, you know, after we got doxxed, and he said something to the effect of, you know, like there is a small part of him that's like, you know, happy for it, and that he knows he'd want to, you know, come out and say that he did this at some point, like that, you know, he wanted to be able to share, you know, in the achievement and like get to know apes and all that. And part of me really, I think earnestly, was more the fact of, yeah, I see that part. I would have been totally happy, like going to my grave and just like only interacting with people as like Garga on the internet, you know, or like Satoshi or something like that. And so, it's just a personality type that I have. I will chuckle to myself when some people, you know, try and flex that they did something first, when I know full well that we've been experimenting all over the space and have a fair share of firsts ourselves. But there's also many things that we've done that were built on the shoulders of people that came before us. So I'm not too worried about it. If you have to explain, then you're losing, is a small phrase that Figgy and I will say to each other sometimes. You know, if people should just get it when you do something really special and exciting. And if you have to pound your chest and say, no, look how special I am, and I did it first or something like that, like that's just a losing game.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose. It's like if you like, if somebody does something, you're like, we're doing this new thing, never been done before. It's like, we did that shit a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. You don't like that it doesn't look good, but at the same time, it's a rough situation where it's like, you want people to recognize and almost say that for you. So to your point, it's almost like that be undeniable. Now, Cameron, I know you sometimes have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, so I want to see if your answer's a little differently. Does it bug you when people are claiming shit that you guys did first?
Stepping into sort of this leadership role, like I have a lot of I have a deep well of things to look back on, having learned from Greg and Wiley and Figgy and all the leaders at Yuga. And I think that when you feel such a deep sort of admiration, you feel the disrespect on their behalf. And so I think when when we talk behind the scenes, Steve, that's what you hear. You know, I look at them with such respect that I'm like, put respect on their name. So Greg may not say it, but I certainly carry that chip. But I think at the same time, you know, something Greg's taught me and what he just said, you know, I think of it from like that quote from like Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones, where he was like, you know, he himself, you know, he who calls himself king is no king. And I think Greg just like embodied that. Like, he doesn't need to say that he did something first or he did something best or that any of that. Like, it just is about knowing it. And I think this community, like, it knows what it is. And like, now it's just about giving them opportunities, rails, frameworks to succeed, and they'll know it.
Steve, you know, we got the right person. We're getting Tywin Lannister quotes on coffee.
Yeah, gotta love a good Tywin Lannister quote. Look, I know we're coming up against time. You guys have been super generous with your time. I want to go again. We'll go to Garga, and we'll bring it back to Cameron. Garga, Anything else we didn't ask you about today that we might have missed, as if you haven't already? Any other alpha you want to drop while we got you here? We'll take what we can get. We'll always take alpha all day long. Any other thoughts before we let you get out of here and skedaddle? Because I know you're a busy man. Or anything else you wanted to get across before we let you run?
No, I think this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for having us. Sorry for all the technical difficulties I think I was having earlier on. Just wanted to thank Rita again and his team at Inceptive Studios for modeling out all the mutants. You know, these were done in collaboration with Yuga, and we helped, you know, everywhere we could, but it's still a Herculean effort on their part. And, you know, the DAO had also funded parts of Dashbo and all that. So it's the best case of a community builder, ApeCoin and ApeCoin DAO and Yuga coming together to push something over the line. So super stoked for that, and also really stoked for the future of ApeCoin with Cam at the helm, and to have, you know, somebody that I can pick up the phone and call to push as we step into this next chapter.
Yeah, it's a great point where it's like we talked about getting these three things to balance and work together, and you hit on it real quick. And actually, before I go to Cameron, I see Wabam join on stage. Wabam, when you if you're at a place where you can kind of talk, when you learned the news about Cameron, you obviously learned it before everybody else. Were you like, oh no, not that asshole? What was your thoughts when you learned about Cameron's job?
Hugely, I mean, definitely had my, you know, oh God, I have to keep dealing with this guy, but no, hugely bullish. You know, Cam's been part of the itching team for ages. He's been an executive at Yuga Labs. You know, I think Gargan nailed it. He's got personal relationships with all of the leadership there. And he's sharp. He's sharp as hell. He's hungry. He wants to win. He's competitive. You know, I've worked with Cam for a good while now, and I'm super, super stoked to have him leading the Ape Foundation. It's a new era for us, and we're going to do big things.
It's awesome. Cameron, throw it to you. Same thing. Thanks for your time. Congrats again. Super generous of you to be here this long with us, to give us this, especially on the day of a big announcement. We appreciate y'all coming to us first. We are apes at our core. We can't help it. That's who we are. Any other parting thoughts before you go? And by the way, notice I didn't go back to ask Garga about the metaverse persistent question. That's a trick to get him back on the show in the future, to ask him again later down the line. But any other parting thoughts before you get out of here? And congrats again.
I appreciate that. No, I just want to give flowers where they're due. Greg said it, I think, just a second ago, like how Yuga has stood on, you know, the shoulders of others. I think I'm doing that right now. We've had incredible special counsels, you know, members who over multiple years now, 3 years now, have just fought the good fight through dark times, through, you know, light times. So they're owed. I've had the chance to work so closely with, you know, the founders of Yuga and Greg and PB and Figgy and James and Quit and all those guys. So I'm going to, you know, carry what I've learned from them. And then more importantly than anything, it's like we all stand on the shoulders of the community. So you guys, you know, everyone out there is an ape, everyone who's an ape, you know, ApeCoin holder, everyone who builds in this ecosystem, like we're doing this because of you guys. And so I know this is just the starting line, but like I feel like we've got an insane foundation to build on top of. I feel really lucky for that.
It's awesome. Well, thank you again. And Cap, I feel like I just went to church. I just went to Ape Church. I feel really good about this. Yeah.
I mean, I knew you could hear my excitement in my voice yesterday when we chatted, and it increased this morning. On every front, like the mutants. I don't want to say long time coming, but I know there was a bunch of pinup demand and excitement for the 3D models. Excited to have those. I'm already seeing them on the timeline. I shared a few of them up top, but just love to see that. That creates this real momentum, energy, and excitement throughout the club. And then we have I think it's without question, all the different pillars of the ecosystem are there's more coordination now than ever before. And it just gets me really excited. Cam mentioned the foundation, and yes, the foundation has been laid now a few years in the making, and really does feel like this is a really big new chapter. I feel is beginning like that. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get the foundation laid. And if you think about, like, not to use a cheesy analogy, but you think about like skyscrapers. If you live in, whether it's Philly or New York, or, you see for months, maybe years, sometimes it's like chain link fence blocked off and a bunch of dirt. And it's like years go by. Sometimes that's all you see is just that they're just digging dirt. And then you drive by like a month later and an entire skyscraper is framed up. It's because it takes much longer time to build a proper foundation that's going to be suitable for something to last for decades, if not centuries. And I think that while this may not been the exact route that was envisioned back in 2021, I think anyone said that they knew exactly how this was going to play out, they'd be lying. And to see that we've gotten through those first few years, this foundation is, I think, very strong. I get really excited to think about where we're at, because my vision forward in terms of where we're heading has probably never been more clear.
Yeah, it's awesome. Look, I am stoked. What a day, Cap. What a day in Coffee with Captain. We had some good discussion early on. We got Gargo, we got Cameron, we got announcement of Cameron's new gig. We got Wabam on stage to talk Foundation. We got Rita bringing some 3D mutants to the fold for Dashbo, so people are able to co-create there. It does feel like the energy and momentum is going in the right direction again, which makes me super happy. Cap, any other cleanup or parting thoughts you want to hit before we get out of here?
Rita, is there anything we missed for you? I see still on the audio spaces. I know it's a long day for you. Really appreciate you joining us this morning for the entire show. Anything that you wanted to share, anything that we didn't get to today, whether it's related to Dashbo or anything in general?
No, man. What you guys do and how you guys talk about Dashbo 3D is better than how I do it. So I'm gonna let you guys do the talking from here on out. I'll just do the creation, and you guys do the talking about it. Thank you guys for having me, and thank you. I actually really want to thank the team at Yuga that we worked with on the 3D models for the mutants. The mutants were very complicated and very hard to do, but it was a pleasure working with the team, whether it was Dave, whether it was Lovins. It was an absolute pleasure.
It's hilarious, Cap. This is what we do. It's like we like, Rita does like real impactful work for a living and actually like codes and stuff. We just talk shit for a living, so it works. So we can do that all day. We can talk about the product. It's like the perfect example of like why Bored Ape Yacht Club is like almost this decentralized company in and of itself. It's like you got someone like Rita and the way he builds, and then you have us who are like, we're the marketing guys. We're the guys who can kind of help and sing and bring it to life. And you have this combination of the two things coming together, and it's what I love about it. And it's all decentralized. It's like we're not on his payroll. He's not on our payroll, but we can lift each other up. A rising tide rises all boats. It's what I love about the club. It's like I tell people, you want the easiest path to get the best group of beta testers ever. You start a Made by Ape business. You release it. We're going to check it out. Your product's got to be good or else we're not going to buy it again. But, when I'm buying things, like I am in trouble because I got some cookies and my daughter likes them. So now I'm getting more cookies. I'm trying to be on a diet, but my daughter likes to share cookies. So it's like when you go to these Made by Apes businesses, Friends Chocolate, another problem I'm having right now. So we're making it all work, but it's one of the cool parts about it. So that said, Cap, parting thoughts, or should we let everyone sail off into their day?
All I've got is if anyone missed this portion of the show today or any of the other episodes this week, this recording will be available. It'll hit our feed as soon as the show wraps. It'll be available on all your favorite podcast platforms early this afternoon. If you like listen to those playbacks at 1.5x like I do, that's those will be live. Hit us with a rating and review while you're over there. And also our newsletter drops today. If you've not yet subbed for that, head to coffeewithcaptain.beehive.com and you'll get the weekend review and maybe a few other goodies in there. But Steve, last but not least, I know this all came together. It was complete coincidence. But to think like the least impactful news of the day was something that we're both pretty excited about with ApeCon coming up in April. And we will be talking more about that, I promise. But genuinely excited about that. The application for those that want to participate in that startup pitch deck pitch competition, it's going to be open for a week. So you'll hear us talk about that a little bit next week. It'll be open through Thursday. But if you do want to participate, we do have limited spots. So whether you're an existing team and you got an existing brand that you'd like to compete, or you're just an individual, an entrepreneur in the club, but you don't even have an idea, you just would like to help build with others, submit the application as individual, and we're going to do our best to pair individuals, create some new teams to where you can, maybe you find your next co-founder. So really excited about that. And it does. I mean it. I think the vision I have for the club and in this ecosystem at large is maybe the clearest it's been. And really grateful to be here. Appreciate everyone who tuned in today. Appreciate all the support. Grateful for Garga and Cam and Rita for joining us. Thanks for Wabam for making the cameo there. And yeah, man, grateful to be here. It's an exciting time. And I said literally weeks after minting an ape, I said, I feel like I just joined a startup with 2,500 of my closest friends that I haven't even met yet. It's a lot bigger than those 2,500 back from, May of 2021. But that feeling has carried through, and it does. It feels like a exciting new chapter in that startup we're all building together. So grateful to be here and appreciate everyone who showed up for support today.
Yeah, exciting times. Excited for the future, and yeah, we need a better landing page by our newsletter. By the way, I don't know how we have 20,000 people subscribed when you spell beehive with 2 I's. It is a non-intuitive way, but yeah, man, excited as well. Appreciate everyone who came through this morning. We will talk more about ApeCon next week for sure, but there was a packed show of information today that we were talking about. Happy Taproot Wizards Day to those who celebrate. We will see what happens with that. And we will talk to everybody bright and early Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.